Hi everyone, this is Builder 101 series. In this video I'm going to talk about selectors. Selectors are very key main part of the builder. They are located under selectors tab, so just to let you know, by default we have structure, and when I click this tab selectors, the panel with all selectors available in the system, they will be loaded. Here we have four groups of selectors. The first group is elements, HTML elements based selectors. These are HTML, H1, body, also here, PA, etc. So they are all HTML based, very simple, very low specificity and plain. The second group is classes. So here we have class based selectors, one class name only. They are not compound selectors, they are only one name, one class only. And think of them as global classes inside the builder. Here we have all of these classes, they are created, they are coming from Builderius CSS framework. And it is also possible to create custom selectors of any type, elements, classes, attributes that I'm going to show you right now. Here we have attributes, so they are in these brackets. You see there is a special syntax, and then all other selectors like asterisks. Then there should be pseudo selectors here, before, after, compound selectors. So those are created with two or more classes or combination of class and element based, and also with addition this where for low specificity, etc, etc. So here all those selectors which are not in the first, second or third group. Okay, so again, these are selectors. They are coming from Builderius CSS framework, and by default we load them in the system, all the code of the framework. Then internal parser parses all the CSS code, and these selectors are being created based on this CSS code. In the pro version, there is a possibility to open code editor with the whole CSS code and even paste your own selector, but selector, not only selector but framework. I wanted to say framework. However, it's about pro version. In the free version, it is possible to create selector, and I will show you how. It is also possible to delete existing one or rename it if you want to, I don't know, modify, maybe change something about its name. So for instance, we have selector H2 here, or let me show you search first. So for instance, I would like to search for selector UL, which is unordered list. So how to work with selectors. I click on the item with the selector. Here on the left I see visual settings, and then group by group I do whatever I want to do. For instance, here I want to change padding, so I click this icon because I want to change padding of all sides, and here I just write 1 rem. And as you see, there is instantly visible changes. Let me show you. Do you see? The spacing around this UL element was modified, and you see changes. Let's do 3, etc. So this is how we do it. And another example, H2. And here on the page we have H2. And by the way, when I click on this selector, here I might see this icon. This is visual clue that in some of these groups there are settings, non-empty settings, or they are not. So if you see this dot, it means inside there are non-empty settings. So let's open CSS variables, and here we go. We have 3 created, and for instance, if we open, I don't know, sizing, there are none. Okay, what you should expect when you work with selectors. I specifically selected H2 because actually I know what is gonna happen when I modify, for instance, color. Let's say I want to modify color for all H2 on the page, right? Because as you remember, this is selector not for specific element. This is global selector. So we have here H2. I go to the setting color and I change it and nothing happens. Why? Because there might be another selector that is take precedence of this one, so you should expect that. It works the same in any framework. This is not a bug, it's not unusual, and actually let me show you. By the way, when I search for H2 there are two categories, so the second one is not open. When I open it I see more selectors where H2 is used. So in one of these selectors, it takes precedence and it has color settings set with different value, and this is why changing color inside H2 row selector seems like it does nothing. Okay, so let me show you how it looks like in DevTools. When I choose H2 here, so here we have our selector H2 that I modified. This is the same name, you can see it here, and then color, and my color RGB blah blah, it's red, that one. Okay, we see the value 247. This is the exact this value. However, it's not applied because I have another selector with also H2 here. It's a very long selector, compound selector, and it has color, and its color assigned to variable. It takes precedence, so I don't see this modification. But let's go to, it should be this one. Let me just remove this and insert. Yeah, okay. Let me, if I set something here, it will be applied, or if I remove, then they will be applied my previous one, this red one. Here I can change it, you see the changes, right? So this is definitely it. So this is how it works. You should be aware of this, and in any case, if you need to completely override some CSS for specific element, you just have to go to the element and apply styles. But this is like last resort, okay? Usually we don't do this. Usually we operate with classes. All this tutorial is for the sake of learning and teaching how CSS works. So this is why I'm showing you. It's not necessarily like the best practice, you know, because as I said, setting CSS for element is like last resort if you want something specific. But in any other cases, you would use selectors. Many of these selectors are using CSS variables, as it is shown here. Here there is variable and another variable and another variable, and we did it this way specifically so the whole framework is tokenized, and by changing CSS variables it's possible to have impact on selectors. However, again, if you need something specific, if you want to create specific selector, you always can do that, and I'm going to show you how. Let me close it here. Let me go to this main, and what should I do? Okay, I will add a div here. Okay, so here we have div. I'm going to add a class. Let's call it special div. Okay, I just type special div, click enter. And now my div has class special div. Now I go back to selectors. I search for this selector special div. Here we go. As I said, it's a global class, right? We treat it like this. And here I want to change spacing. like the one rem. You already seen this, there is something, yeah, here we go, our div, and then I again set background color, something red as usual. Apparently I like red colors. Okay, so here we go. And now I have this special div class, global class, and I can go to selectors and I can add a new something, even section. And in this case, the section in at the end of the element, so I scroll it here, and when I search here for special, like this, so I applied class special div, I see those CSS which are coming from this selector. In elements, the same selector can be selected, and the same applies here. I can change, let me do this, so both these divs are here. So just to show you, here in the element, being in the element, one of these with special div class, I selected this special div here, and now the settings, they modify my global class. They do not modify element. Let me show you. You see I do changes, kind of being in this element, kind of, because you see it's selected. However, you also see there is a special div selected here. This is global class, and doing changes in the settings, I modify that global class, which affects all elements with this class.